in the Kentucky Derby.
Now they move around the turns. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
Let's put it in the center of the racetrack. The Admiral Sloop drawing alongside again. War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Hot is all hot. Smarty Jones is all out. And here's the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Blue of 1976.
It's opening day at Churchill Downs, which means we're 4 days away from the Kentucky Derby, hours until the draw, and minutes from seeing contenders on the track. And it is a track rated as fast, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of these contenders as the fog rolls in beneath the Twin Spires. But for right now, it's cloudy and 72 degrees here in Louisville, Kentucky for Kentucky Derby Work Show presented by TwinSpires.com. Let's take a look at the headlines, and Mr. Big News making the headlines yesterday as he is the 18th horse expected to enter the Derby later today when we have the post-draw live from the Aristides room. Yesterday we had the Kentucky Oaks draw, and Gamine is the even money morning line favorite after drawing post 5 in the run for the Lilies. We're going to have our first look at the California horses following their Monday arrival, some already on the track, some hopefully to come. And live racing returns today at Churchill Downs with a 9-race card led by the Marathon Stakes. And as we said, California horses did arrive on Monday, and Honor AP was among them. The Santa Anita Derby winner, expected to be the second or third choice in the Kentucky Derby, finished second last out to 1,000 Words in the Shared Belief Stakes. There he is in his stall, and hopefully we'll see him a little later on the track. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed DeRosa alongside my colleague Scott Shapiro. And Scott, the countdown has been on for a while, but we're down to some pretty low numbers now and going through our final paces before the Derby.
Yeah, it's exciting times, Ed. As you mentioned, the live racing gets rolling today, and we saw Honor AP amongst the California horses coming in, a horse I'm very high on, you not so much. But looking forward to today's show and the week ahead of racing, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry we won't be on our last show together closer to the Derby. We'll have to come up with a wager. But we are looking forward to seeing these horses on the track, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Brandon Staubel thinks of them on the track. He's on the fourth floor. He has a great view. Brandon, good morning.
Ed, Scott, good morning. Yeah, a little foggy this morning and a little bit of a dew kind of falling, so we'll keep an eye on the weather a little bit. One thing I just wanted to mention off the bat, just want to make sure that you don't read too much into horses maybe getting a little hot, a little worked up out here on the track this morning just because of the humidity. It is very humid, and a little bit of a buzz in the air. You mentioned opening day today, and then we've got the fresh faces coming in, so an exciting way to start the day here.
Opening day for racing, draw day for the Derby, Scott, and these are the leaderboard, but really this is our entrance for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, we're ready to go with 18, it seems. We got Max Player and Enforceable, a couple horses I think are interesting at a price at the bottom of the list, and of course the obvious ones up top.
Yeah, and as we turn the page to the back half of the field, as I alluded to, Mr. Big News, the newest addition to the list, Brett Calhoun was my pick last year. Probably not going to be on top for me this year, but adds another name to the list.
Yeah, a late runner that may move up if the for some reason the weather gets poor and it's sloppy, but it should be finishing full of run if they go fast early, Ed.
We saw our final published workout for the Derby yesterday, Scott, before the traditional time. Steve Asmussen took Max Player out early.
Yeah, Max Player, a horse that appears to be doing very well. The distance shouldn't be an issue. It will need a lot to happen to turn the tables on Tiz the Law, but a horse that I like, as I mentioned, underneath.
Let's take a look back at that work yesterday morning under Juan Vargas, 49 and change for the 4 furlongs. Brandon, take us through it.
Yeah, you can see he's got a nice snug hold here early on, and really throughout the work, didn't want him to do too much in here, and that's just under directions of trainer Steve Asmussen. The last thing you want to do is go too fast or really too slow in this final work because you don't want to go back to the barn and have him kind of eyeing you down for doing too much before the race. He really likes to bring his horses in fresh, and you can see the rider just checking the watch there. Very even work, but really we know what to expect. We know this horse a little bit now, and thought he still carries that little bit of the higher action that's just him, and I just thought he was striding out well down the lane. always mentioned throughout this show that possibility this horse could improve switching over to Steve Asmussen because he is so good at getting horses to peak on big days. But just nice and easy to the line in here, and it was what trainers always say, that quote, it was exactly what we wanted. This was exactly what they wanted.
Let's see if Steve agrees with your assessment. We have him on the backside.
Very happy with how he went over the racetrack. Three works over the surface. Most serious work last Monday. Moving well, very relaxed. Horse very moving, as I said, nicely. I think he's taken to the surface really well, and we're excited about how he's going to run on Saturday. He's a decided closer. I would prefer him to be a little towards the outside, just to stay clean for the first eighth of a mile, so he could possibly work out a little better position, not have so much to do late.
From one closer to another, Scott, I'm guessing trainer Mark Cassie wouldn't mind a similar trip that Steve wants with Max Player with Enforceable.
Yeah, Enforceable is a horse that's going to have to get out of the gate better, but appears to be thriving, makes his second start of the form cycle after an okay effort in the Bluegrass against the race flow. I think Enforceable, if the pace is hot, has a big shot to finish underneath in the exotics.
Enforceable, one of the horses some people have been impressed with in the morning. Looking forward to seeing if he cracks Brandon's top 5 that we'll get to later. But for now, Brandon, we have a unique look at Enforcable's recent workout under Adam Beschizza.
Yeah, guys, he's always trained well here at Churchill. He's been based here really since he was the 2. I mean, just came to the track and had a good time at Saratoga. But you can see in the work here, we watched it several times. Adam Beschizza up. Very nice feeling horse in here, just feeling good. And Adam's got a nice hold here, just keeping this horse relaxed. He is wearing the blinkers that he'll wear in the race. You've seen him in the works gallop without them. So when we take a look at this view and we talk about the ears of the horse, look at the left ear kind of prick up and look at the right ear kind of flick back and forth, basically waiting on the cue in there. And Adam's still got a long hold. And one thing you're going to notice too with this GoPro is you're going to see the view kind of shift down to the left hand, and that's what Adam's doing, is checking the watch in there. And didn't want him to go too fast. We just saw the Steve Asmussen drill, kind of the same deal, and you can see down the lane he starts to extend his stride a little bit. You can see the ears flopping. Adam just checked the watch there. He's going to check the watch a couple more times down the lane, just see if he needs to, maybe they're going too slow, maybe he needs to pick it up a little bit, and then you can see that nice big stride. Remember when this horse passed the wire in front of me, just how well he was striding out, hitting behind. Big horse, but kind of light on his feet. And then Adam checking the watch once again. And then they're kind of taking it somewhat easy on the gallop out, but if you watch the ears on the horse, if you watch the way that those ears are kind of flicking back and forth, that left ear pricked and then that right ear kind of turned back about that 180 degrees like we saw with King Guillermo, still wanting more on the gallop out. And when you're watching a gallop out, that's one thing you want to look for, is the ears will tell you how much does the horse have left. And then once we get to the backstretch, Adam's going to pull him up in here. And one thing you don't want to do is pull horses up abruptly on the backside unless there's an issue. So he's just going to let him kind of ease into and slow down the work, and he'll just pull on that right rein. You can see the head kind of cocked to the right. You can see the ears kind of turning back still, like, wait a second, I might want to do a little more. But Adam's saying, no, let's save it for the race.
Thank you, Brandon. Really interesting, Scott, to see that view, and it gets edgy for me on one horse. I can't imagine what that's like into the final turn around 18 other horses.
Yeah, crazy stuff, but that's great footage and great work by the production team to put that together.
Absolutely. Appreciate Adam putting on the GoPro as well, giving us a look at the jockey's view. And now for some jockey perspective, we have the rider of King Guillermo, Sammy Camacho, joins us from the Lucas Cap. Sammy, good morning.
How are you, sir? Good morning.
Great to see you. Appreciate having you on. And first question, it's your first Kentucky Derby. Talk to us about the experience coming into this race with a horse like Tampa Bay Derby winner King Guillermo.
Wow, it's amazing what I feel right now with my horse. He's training very good. And I'm so happy, because it's my first Derby. And I try to go out every day to win the race, He's very handsome, what I feel right now.
Sammy, Scott Shapiro, the Tampa Bay Derby was the first time you were aboard King Guillermo. Not sure if you were on him in the morning, but that was the first time in the afternoons. But did you have any idea he was capable of running such a big race that day?
I see the horse, the old replay that he did before the Tampa Bay Derby, and he did amazing. And I told the trainer, I want to ride your horse. Please give me that chance. I know the horse is the long shot, but I know he got a big chance. And I see all the horses that ride that day, and I know, I gotta, send Gamara from the gate, and the horse did it pretty good. And wow, it's amazing how I win that race.
Sammy, have you talked much with Juan about where you're hoping to be throughout the Derby race in terms of pace and when you're going to try to make a winning move?
Oh yeah, I got my plans, and the trainer waiting for the this afternoon to the how is my position to the start and the gate, and I'm waiting for the afternoon. And I'm so happy, man.
Sammy, the horse was originally competing on the turf before moving to the main track. I'm curious if he has a turfy feel to him, or if you just feel like that was a starting point for him and for conditioning or sake.
Oh yeah, it's like the second time on the dirt, but the horse is feel really comfortable. He training pretty well in this track. He loves the track, and I'm working this morning with the other horse, and that's my first time, and the track I love this track. It's very comfortable, and I think I can do this.
Hey, Sammy, it's Brandon Staubel up on the fourth floor. Just a kind of two-part question here. Can you just talk about what it means to be kept on the horse? Sometimes you get into big races and you'll see they'll make a jockey change maybe for a better-known commodity or a higher-profile jockey. And then can you also go back to Arkansas for us and talk about the fight he showed trying to run down Nadal?
Oh yeah, he tried very well. I know Nadal is his top horse, and the owner gave me that opportunity to ride King Guillermo, and I was so happy for the trainer. The owner gave me a big chance, and I know beat me one big horse, Nadal. I'm sorry for the horse and not coming to the Derby, but my horse did it pretty well, and I know my horse he can win the race, and I'm so happy.
Sammy, I'll get you out of here on this. I've been wondering how this horse comes into this race off a 4-month layoff. How's he feeling? What's Juan told you about his readiness off that layoff?
I'm not worried about that because when he win the Tampa Bay Derby, he win that race with 3 months and a half, and now it's 4 months. I know my horse, he can do this because he like to be fresh, When after the Tampa Bay Derby, he did it pretty well too in Arkansas with 1 month like after the Tampa Bay Derby, but my horse is really fresh, and I confidence with my horse, and I know my horse he can do this.
All right. Well, Sammy, we really appreciate your time. Wish you a lot of luck, obviously, on Saturday, but hope you enjoy your first Derby experience as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you for this interview. Thank you for everything, and I do my best, with the race.
All right, Sammy Camacho, he is on King Guillermo in the Kentucky Derby. And Scott, King Guillermo's been here a few weeks, but Thousand Words has only been here for one night, and he got his first taste of the Churchill Downs surface earlier this morning. Shared Belief Stakes winner.
Yeah, Thousand Words, one of the more highly regarded Bafferts earlier in the year. Went through a little bit of a dip in the form cycle, but took the lead in that Shared Belief, a race that was paceless on paper, and took advantage of it getting to the wire first and solidifying his Derby spot, Ed. But I think this is a horse that needs to be honored right off the lead to have a chance. We'll see what Florent Drew decides.
Yeah, I'm eager to see the plan. A lot of the pace projections I've seen him sort of have a mid-pack. I thought he'd be a little more forwardly placed, but here he is on the track for the first time. And Brandon, what do you look for when you see these horses arrive that are getting their first feel for the Churchill surface?
Ed, I'm just looking for basically a general assessment of the horse. I'm not trying to do too much with him and nitpick here and there. First thing I'm probably going to look for is the flesh on the animal. We talked about this yesterday. Just the way the coat is glistening, how much shine is there to it. Just that he looks healthy in general. And you can see him here with a little bit of a jogs, trots, walk here, and just going nice and easy. He seems to be moving freely. We'll check the gait pattern. So basically the walk of the animal, and just make sure he's not acting like a bozo out there either. I mean, it's one thing to come out on track the first day and look around a little bit, but if you're hopping up and down and bucking, that might be more of a negative in here. But he makes a very professional appearance. The coat looks good, so I thought this was just nice and easy and carrying good flesh.
All right, a little disappointed you didn't say Thousand Words looking like a picture. We'll save that pun for later in the week. And Scott, Brandon talking about wanting to see horses healthy and happy. That's when they arrived, getting a feel for the track. But obviously in the workout, it's all about getting ready for the greatest test the thoroughbred could face.
Yeah, definitely. And Brandon's had the best view in the house, and excited to hear his overall thoughts here.
Yeah, Brandon, I know we're going to do a lot of top 5 lists over the next few days, picking our winners. You did a top 5 list of your favorite workouts over the past 8 or 9 days, and take us through it. Looking forward to seeing what you came up with.
Yeah, guys, we're able to, lucky enough to be able to see works from across the country, and we've went through a lot. It's a lot of detail, but number 5 in here, we'll turn and look at the screen. New York Traffic, I thought his last work, a horse we haven't really talked about too much, but you can see the push he's getting from behind in there. Really strong push, really reaching out well. I've been impressed with the way this horse is training. He's going to gallop out a little bit here, but this horse is kind of coming in under the radar, and let's not forget he was second to Authentic, almost ran him down last time. Let's move on to number 4. Let's go to Authentic. Gonna maybe the best athlete in the field, I would say, just judging from his workouts and his races. Buy into Mischief, so there is some distance questions, but the way he strides out down the lane is just beautiful to see. He does carry the head a little bit high, but that's just kind of him. That's the individual. Like what I've seen from Authentic in the mornings, Bob Baffert has mentioned that this is a Derby work. He's seen a lot of them, so he would know. Number 3 is going to be King Guillermo on the screen in here, and this was the work at Churchill 2 back. This was the big work, the 58 and change work, and Miguel Mena aboard. The track was very quick this day, but he finished like a freight train. He galloped out like a monster, almost a mile in 1:38. So this horse coming in very well. He obviously has an affinity for the track. I like the fact that Juan Carlos has brought him in early, got a couple of nice works over the track. Big finish here after showing speed early. King Guillermo, you got to keep him on your radar. Number 2 is going to be Art Collector in here, and this was another local work that we saw, and he's working solo, but one thing I liked about this work was the fact that he has speed, but can he relax? Can he turn it off when he needs to? Because that's a big thing in the Derby, and he did. He went slow early, 37 and changed. He finished up very well down the lane. You can see Brian kind of checking the watch there, and he'll flip back to the wrong lead in just a second right there, and then he's going to flip back over. I think that's more about being bored. Love the way this horse was reaching out in front of me near the wire. Brian checking the watch one more time. Galloped out well. He's carrying good flesh as well. Number 1 is going to be Tiz the Law, and I think we all kind of knew that going in. If you've been watching his training and follow us in the morning, the way this horse is training, he's just thriving right now. The fact he can go out there and rip off 59 5-furlong workouts is just unbelievable. He's got basically an impressive stride down the lane, strong push from behind, and you can see the rider's hands there, really never moving a muscle. His ears kind of pricked and flicking back and forth at the wire. Tiz the Law is going to be really tough to beat on Saturday, guys.
Thank you, Brandon. And the odds, which we'll get later today when they actually draw, will indicate Tiz the Law figures to be tough to beat and a very deserving favorite, Scott.
Yeah, he's shown me a lot. I thought he was a very nice horse as a 2-year-old coming into his 3-year-old campaign. He's continued to mature. That tactical speed makes him a very tough commodity.
And on our screen now, Sol Volante, who Tiz the Law disposed of when they met in the Belmont Stakes. But this one has gotten a freshening, has not raced since, and is back for trainer Patrick Biancone, who is runner-up with Lionheart in 04.
Yeah, he raced on the turf in the first couple of starts. He came back quick in that Belmont, so I'm not going to hold it against him. Not sure if he's the mile and a quarter type or if he'll be good enough in this spot, but an interesting horse if you're looking underneath.
He is by Breeders' Cup Mile winner Cara Conti, and he worked last on the turf, but we did get a chance to see him on the Churchill Downs main track yesterday. Brandon, what'd you think?
I thought he looked good. It's kind of the same thing with Thousand Words we just talked about. First day on the track, you're not really looking to nitpick too much. You're just kind of maybe just taking an overall assessment of the horse. And one word that I kind of mentioned, I thought he had a kind of a classy appearance out there, and he's got a nice little trot there. He's just taking everything in. I thought he handled himself really well. Obviously, the pony's there to keep him calm. But I thought it was a good look. I thought he was carrying good weight behind, especially in the hind end, and just kind of that. He almost has that kind of that European kind of look, that old school, kind of long and very lean, but definitely very fast. So nice local appearance. I'm excited to see him again today.
I believe that is Andy Biancone up on Sol Volante. She's co-owner, assistant trainer Patrick Biancone. Her father bought this horse for her as a gift to teach her a lesson about how much horses cost, and she turned things around on him. Sol Volante has done very well, and let's hear from Andy on Sol Volante as he arrived at Churchill.
He really surprised me on the track today. He was really confident, really cool. I mean, obviously on the muscle, but in a good way. Didn't break a sweat, just soaking it all in. He was I'm so proud of him. I mean, at Belmont, he was a bit more, he was quiet in the barn, quiet coming off the van, but on the track was just a bit anxious, you know? And I feel like this time it's the reverse, which is a good thing. I almost was getting emotional on the track just because, well, first to feel his energy, just how confident he is, and just to get to be a part of that, just to be on his back, and, you know, it's crazy. And then just obviously, you know, the Twin Spires, and you see all this stuff, like, just, you know, if you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be riding a horse in the Kentucky Derby, or owning a horse in the Kentucky Derby, or even just like being around a horse in the Kentucky Derby, you know, I wouldn't have believed you.
Scott, it sounds like Andy's pretty excited to see that pill pulled later today in the Kentucky Derby draw. They'll drop the slip in, and hopefully we'll see them later for the post draw, which is later today, 10:45, live coverage where you're watching us right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important. A lot of horses want to be in the same spot, so where they draw will be important. So definitely tune in at 10:45.
There's Steve Asmussen. We heard from him later. He wants a outside post position for Max Player. And again, the post position draw presented by Ford for the Kentucky Derby, presented by Woodford Reserve. The draw's at 10:45. We do hope you'll join us. And there's Travis Stone. But we'll be back next looking at the Oaks Field with Drew yesterday. There goes a horse on there. Break time.
Sports look different this year, like Derby in the summer. While you're celebrating the fastest 2 minutes in sports at home, Twin Spires is your ticket to the Kentucky Derby. Bet on the Derby and do it all from your mobile device. Use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today. The fun, fast, and easy way to bet on the Kentucky Derby. Twin Spires, the official wagering partner of the Kentucky Derby. Download the app today.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
We're back at Churchill Downs. It's Kentucky Derby Draw Day. This is the Morning Work Show presented by TwinSpires.com. But yesterday, we had the Kentucky Oaks draw with 9 3-year-old fillies entering the starting gate for the first Friday in September, Scott. And all eyes on Gamine now with 9 horses. Not a big issue of what posts they drew, but she's in post 5. Shouldn't be any issue, and she's the morning line favorite.
Yeah, perfect draw. Hall of Famer Bob Baffer, very pleased with it. And she's crossed the wire first in all 4 starts. She's been dazzling. The question, I guess, if you're looking for questions or poking holes, is the mile and an eighth distance, Ed.
That is the question for sure with her, I would think. And here she is getting a bath. A favorite tradition here, Kentucky Derby week watching there. And as we said, she did draw post 5 for the Kentucky Oaks. And here's your field with the other 8 horses as well. Gamine, even money in the 5 hole. Swiss Skydiver drew the rail, the Alabama Stakes winner, cutting back for trainer Ken McPeak. He had no issue with the rail post position. And then my top pick, Speech, number 4, 5-1, and then a bunch of prices after that.
Yeah, I agree. On first look, I thought maybe the rail was an issue for Swiss Skydiver, but I expect Gamine to pop out of the gate. Swiss Skydiver should be able to sit second angle off the rail with no issue. I think Speech, your top pick, and a horse I'm very interested also. Drew well in the 4 hole. But yeah, small field. The post position is probably not that big of a deal.
Oaks is race 12 of 13. First post is 11 a.m. Eastern. Do hope you'll join us on Friday. Swiss Skydiver's been joining us in the mornings pretty much every day since this show started. And here she is yesterday on the track. And Brandon talked to us about how she's coming into this race after her Saturday work.
Yeah, guys, she didn't do too much in the work. Splits of 23 and then 49 to the wire, so obviously they didn't want to do a whole lot with her. I thought she made a better appearance coming back yesterday out of the work. I thought she was carrying a little more flesh. One thing about her, she's very talented, she's very smart. Watch for the ears on the horse, especially with your galloping, but you just look for that and you want to see that they're moving well. Got a nice little bounce to them, and I thought she made a very nice appearance yesterday. Let's take a look at Speech on the screen in here, and Speech is, Ed, I think it's a wild card horse, and you kind of mentioned that you like this horse, and I like this horse as well. This horse is feeling very fresh, came out of that nice 47 work with a lot of energy, and one thing you got to do at this point now, and I'm sure Mike McCarthy's got this in the back of his head, is keeping this horse on the ground and keeping this horse fresh, and I think that she's looked spectacular out here, and then we'll take a look at Dream Marie as well on the screen. Just an easy little jog, trot, gallop yesterday, and when she came down in front of me, you don't get a feel for how big she actually is until you're right in front of her. This is a big filly, and she's going to probably like the added ground. She's going to be climbing late. It's just whether or not she's good enough, but didn't see anything yesterday for me to knock. But we talk about that general assessment the first time you see horses. That was the first thing that hit me was how big she is.
Thank you, Brandon. Good to see these Oaks and Derby horses on the track over the last few days. And as you see, we are taking your questions. You're watching us either on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. And if you're live, happy to answer some questions. And Scott, we have a few. This one is from John on YouTube. He wants to know what your exacta is.
Well, my exact at this point, semi-chalky a little bit. I think Tiz the Law is going to be extremely tough to beat as the favorite. Maybe the draw will impact that decision, and I'm real high on Honor AP coming into this race. I think you can toss the last race when it was against the flow. It was a race that was an obvious prep to me and shorter than Honor AP wants to go. He seems to be thriving since then, so we'll go with Tiz the Law over Honor AP.
All right, and I'm art collector over Tiz the Law to keep it short, but more on that over the next couple of days, I'm sure. Mary on Facebook asked if all horses have jockeys, which they do in the race, but I do want to expand on that. Brandon before mentioned Annan Beskica was on Enforceable in his work, but a lot of times you have exercise riders in the morning, so the names may change day to day, but on race day, yes, they do have jockeys. Linda on Facebook asked about Rushy out of the Derby. He's going to the Pat Day Mile, and Betty on Facebook has one for you, Brandon, or at least I think one that you're best to answer. How often do the horses change their shoes?
Yeah, it really depends. It can be every couple weeks, every 3 weeks. Some horses do have some foot issues that they deal with. I think we've heard over the past derbies where some of these horses, they're nursing a little bit of a foot abscess or something like that. So really depends on the individual, but it can be anywhere from maybe 2 to 4 weeks.
All right, thank you. Betty on Facebook definitely appreciates that. And I have a few shout-outs. We have Rachel in Michigan watching, Denise in Northern Indiana, Jesse from Pennsylvania, Betty from Virginia. Disappointed no Buckeyes on that list, Scott.
They're out in full force. Maybe they're gearing up for a Thistledown card today.
Jack Thistle, yep, and they are accepting fans, so go watch the Derby with us. And as you see there, the twinspires.com sign, they are sponsoring the show. And day-to-day, Scott, including today at Churchill Downs with live racing expert picks in the app.
And when I think expert, I think that guy in the photo right there. Yeah, you're obviously doing them for Kentucky. Been doing a great job. Been red hot this year. We've got some other big names, Jonathan Kinchin, Pete Fornatal, Ashman Malou, to name a few. Definitely worth checking out before you make those final decisions.
Yeah, when I do my handicapping, it's glasses off, and when I'm in the host role, it's glasses on. So, you know, little different vibe. And here they are heroing the track, and what that means during the break is the main track will be open when we're back. Going to get a good look at those California horses, hopefully first time on the track. We'll be back. It's Workout Show presented by Twin Spires.
Sports look different this year, like Derby in the summer. While you're celebrating the fastest 2 minutes in sports at home, Twin Spires is your ticket to the Kentucky Derby. Bet on the Derby and do it all from your mobile device. Use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today. The fun, fast, and easy way to bet on the Kentucky Derby. Twin Spires, the official wagering partner of the Kentucky Derby. Download the app today.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
We are back at Churchill Downs for the morning work show presented by Twin Spires, and looking very much forward to seeing some fresh faces on the main track, which is rated as fast, and looks like some of the fog is lifted. We are under cloudy skies, 72 degrees, a little less humid too, I'm happy to say. Should be more comfortable for all concerned, and hopefully get a good look at some of these California horses soon, along with several others here at Churchill Downs. And I'm Ed DeRosa alongside Scott Shapiro. And Scott, who are you looking most forward to seeing for the first time?
Yeah, hopefully we get a look at Honor AP, a horse I've been pretty hyped on. Love the way he's coming into the race. We thought 1,000 words earlier in the morning. And some of the other California horses, maybe Gamine will be out there. Looks like there's Chris Hartman right there, I assume, with Necker Island.
Yeah, some final instructions before Necker Island hits the track, and spoke with one of the co-owners yesterday for a virtual trainers dinner. And, we talk a lot, Scott, about what these horses cost at auction. This one had a gaudy claiming price to get with his current conditions.
Yeah, cool story. They spent $100,000 to claim this horse. He's run third in 2 consecutive efforts. Really good story behind Necker Island. And, he's obviously up against it a little bit, but we've seen crazier horses hit the board, I think.
Absolutely. And Necker Island at the Lucas Gap. Brandon on the 4th floor, eye in the sky. From what you're seeing from that vantage point, Brandon, a lot of horses getting ready to step on?
No, it's actually a little quiet right now. The tractors are still on the track, so they will not open the track until those tractors get off. And then what we've seen really over the past couple weeks or the last 10 days or so is horses kind of taking their time coming out. I mean, there's a 15-minute session devoted for them. So, and you can see Enforceable on the screen in there patiently waiting. A 15-minute session devoted for them. So really there's no hurry on most Connections parts to get out here. They'll kind of just sit by the gap. And we'll see too, Ed, as far as going back over to the starting gate. I'm interested to see maybe if any of the shippers coming in for the first time, the Cali shippers, maybe decide to head over there.
Glad you mentioned the starting gate, Brandon. 20 stalls, all one gate this year, first time in use here at Churchill Downs. And we're going to get a good look at it, Scott, in the second race. 1.25 miles for maidens, and should be interesting to see what that gate looks like on the track.
Yeah, excited to get the live racing started and get the 20-horse starting gate. It's not a full field for that maiden special weight race at 1.25 miles, but it'll be interesting to see what it looks like and how it works.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, they have put it together sort of like a carnival ride once it got here, and a little different sizing and stuff. So I'm sure horses taking advantage the opportunity to school, and we'll see if that does happen later today as Enforceable gets some dirt under his hoofs. And I did see a few other horses heading to the track. Any idea of who we might be seeing shortly, Brandon?
Well, we got Enforceable and Necker Island. It does look like Necker Island's going to head to the chute, possibly to visit that starting gate that we talked about. It looks like I've got Dream Marie maybe coming out of the Lucas Gap as well. And like I said, everyone just kind of taking their time, soaking it in. I mean, that's one thing we talk about with the Connections and just kind of enjoying the ride. So no real hurry to bust out here and get your work in. I can see over at the far gap, I can't really looks like Tiz the Law possibly.
Well, it wouldn't be him
with
unless,
the big face. No. Hard to see from there. Let's see who that is. I'm not sure. So we'll get a peek on that.
Looks like
Finnick the Fierce, who I haven't seen. I'm sure he's
Finnick the Fierce
around.
on screen there. There we go. He'll,
one of only 2 horses to finish ahead of Tiz the Law.
Yeah, and the Swiss Skydiver pulling off right in front of him. And does look like Necker Island went over to the starting gate. I've got Enforceable making his way in front of me. And then, like I said, you just want to keep these horses calm. The race is coming up, so just a nice, easy trot out here, guys.
Brandon, it seems like at this point, and certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like at this point we'd be seeing things that would be more negative than positive. I mean, is anyone really going to wow us now? We'd say, man, I'm changing my mind on this filly or colt.
I think you don't want to act too abruptly, but I think it can go either way, to be honest. I mean, I've been down here before and seen horses that I would say that maybe didn't really, I was kind of on the fence with, and then you see them come out here and all of a sudden they're extremely muscled out. They came out great at their work. The coat is glistening, and then it can also go the other way too, where maybe you feel like they've lost a little bit of weight. That coat wasn't as shiny as before. So really, I think it can go both ways.
All right, now getting a good look at Swiss Skydiver there, but now here's Dream Marie, and it seems, Scott, gray is a color theme this week.
Lots of grays, but this horse, after winning a couple races in a row in Florida, didn't run all that well last time in Monmouth Park, but we've seen some long shots finish underneath in the Oaks over the last years. Leora last year at 38-1 finished second. Lockdown in 2017 finished at 36-1, hit the board, shook up in 2015. So we've seen horses fill in underneath. Maybe Dream Marie can do that.
Yeah, and blanking on the year, but it seems impossible based on what she accomplished. But Princess of Silmar actually 30-1 on the win end, upsetting her stablemate Dreaming of Julia.
Well, she ran down Beholder in that race too. I think Beholder ended up being pretty good, right?
Here's your horse, Scott, Honor AP, or one of your horses at least. Obviously, all of us have respect for Tiz the Law as the favorite. One I'm really interested to seeing how he takes to the track because sort of a wild card for me off that loss last out.
Yeah, I know you were down on the performance, but I thought it was an obvious prep race for Honor AP. Last time he appears to be training better. That was a deep track at Del Mar. It kind of tightened up, and he seems to be performing better over that. I think Honor AP is set for his best effort come Saturday, Ed.
Brandon, John Sheriff's trainer of Honor AP, came in here in '05 and shocked the world at around 50-1 with Giacomo, and he's a trainer very, very well known for his patience and getting horses to the races. What's your vibe with this one? First look at Churchill Downs.
Well, he's extremely built up behind, very fit, makes a very nice appearance, and that coat, from what we can see, at least from the back end, looks very nice. And, this guy, John Sheriffs, is a master of the prep races, and I think that's what we saw last time, the slow pace, cutting back to a mile and a 16th. I mean, I think that was just a perfect prep, but I do like what I see first impression on the track. He's got the pony with him just to keep him calm, and it looks good to me.
Honor AP ran down Authentic in the Santa Anita Derby. Authentic came back to win the Haskell. Here he is on the track for the first time ahead of the Derby. And Brandon, differing running styles. Honor AP probably come from off of it. Not way back, but Authentic certainly more front-running type. Do you see that in morning training, or are things more uniform when they're on the track versus their running style?
No, I think it does kind of correlate a little bit. Obviously, if you have a horse that has a lot of natural speed, they're probably going to be a good workhorse. If you have a horse that's a deep closer, they're probably, maybe not going to get as much out of their training, or you might have to work them a little tougher, whether it's in 2 or 3 team sets, let them take some dirt, get used to that closing behind style. But, no, I think it's pretty useful to get an idea in the mornings, especially if before a horse has ever started, gives you an idea with their running style in the mornings, how they're going to be in the afternoon.
Authentic beat New York Traffic in the Haskell, held him at Bay late, and that exacta is 2 of Brandon's top 5 workouts from the past week and a half. Here's a workout we didn't see locally. Sol Volante blitzed the turf down at Gulfstream before shipping up to Churchill. And Scott, to my eye, whether it's the PPs or how he ran in the Belmont, certainly an outsider, but per usual, Patrick Biancone has him looking like $1 million.
Yeah, it does look very nice out there. Originally was a turf horse. You mentioned the turf works. Ed, I can forgive the Belmont. He just came back very quickly off a big effort at Gulfstream, tried the Grade 1 competition. He's up against it in this race for sure, but maybe a horse that can save ground all the way around the track and come running late.
Brandon, conventional wisdom around here, our great and dear friend John Asher, who we miss, always used turf form as maybe an indicator of how horses could run on the Churchill Downs main track. And Animal Kingdom was one he finally got to score out on there. Have you noticed that in terms of horses with turf action taking well to this track?
Yes, and I was actually going to bring that up. I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah, definitely, and John was very right about that point. And sometimes maybe they didn't win the race, but they ran really well and really boosted trifectas and superfectas. Sol Volante making a very nice appearance out here as well.
And here's Honor AP doing a little more work than we've seen so far from the rest out of a walk. What's he doing here?
Yeah, just a little bit of a light gallop. Looked like the pony maybe dropped him off about the 3/8 pole on the turn, or maybe just a little bit before one of our smaller starting gates on the turn. And it's nice to see him, let him stretch his legs a little bit. Probably not going to do a whole lot with him. If you haven't been able to tell in his works, or even on some of the videos that we've seen in the races, he's a very big horse, and so you can see he kind of has that little bit of a higher action. So for him, it takes a little bit of time to get into stride, but like what I'm seeing here, just nice and easy. And like I said, we're not out here trying to knock horses. We're trying to get to know him a little bit. We just want to see him being professional and doing the things. You can see the neck bowed a little bit there, and he looks like he's feeling good.
California seems to be the clocker capital of the world, Scott, and I know several out there were very impressed with how this one finished his work last time.
Yeah, he can finish well, Ed, and what I like is the look of him not having any issue at 1.25 miles. The pedigree is one thing, but when you see it on the track, Brandon mentioned, it takes a little while to get going, not really push button, but once he gets going, he is tough to stop, and I expect him to run real well at the 1.25 miles with Mike Smith taking the call. He won it with Justified just a couple years back.
Yeah, Mike Smith, a lot of wins on his resume. First Derby win was with Giacomo, then added Justify and the Triple Crown to his resume. And here's Necker Island, who I actually really liked off the claim in the Indiana Derby. He was one of a couple tried to upset the favorite with, and was there, I guess, but never really a threat to win. But has the feel of one, if he just gets his race and runs well, could crash the exotics.
Yeah, he's got 2 wins in 4 starts over the Churchill Down main track, which is a bonus. Both of them are at 1 turn distance. So I have a little bit of concern about him getting 1.25 miles, but he should be in the mid-pack type spot, I would think, during the early stages of the race. Like many of the long shots, obviously, will need to move forward for a career best effort to be competitive.
And we have Dream Marie, but real quick, Brandon, we saw the exercise rider on Necker Island look over her left shoulder. Was anything going on?
No, just being courteous and cautious, just making sure that nobody was coming up the inside. Everybody's on a little bit of a different program. For the most part, everybody's going to stay well in between them, well within themselves in the gallops, but just in case anybody maybe starts to run off a little bit or is a little headstrong, she's just kind of watching to make sure. Don't want any accidents out here.
And there's Dream Maria. Scott said maybe disappointed a little shipping up from Florida. Do you look at horses any different when they're back on the track after a disappointing loss?
You know, I don't. I just kind of want them to come back. Maybe they trained well into the race and just something happened in the race. So I just come back and try to, basically I want to see what I saw before if they were training well, or if they weren't training well, then I want to see something different. If not, then, it's up to the connections to try to do something different.
Never sure how fast they're actually going with the camera work. It looks to me on the monitor like Enforceable maybe going a little faster than Honor AP was. Any difference in what they're doing here? I mean, it definitely looks friskier at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I think being by Tappet, if you're not familiar with the sire Tappet, he can definitely produce a headstrong individual, and I think that's all. He's just a little bit playful out there. He's just having fun, and that's kind of just him.
And we switch camera angles. I didn't get a look at that name. Do you
Storm the Court, I believe.
Oh,
right
wow, here we go.
So
I've taken some lumps, Brandon. I have this horse ranked 4th. I'm hoping Julian Leperoux can shock the world on that one.
Yeah, not the biggest individual in the world, but just kind of going out there and doing his business, very light on his feet. And another one we'll just try to get to know a little bit as it gets closer. It looks like Necker Island on the inside here, and then I believe that is Finnick the Fierce on the outside.
All right, a little action seeing both on there, and both outsiders. Haven't talked much about Finnick the Fierce, Scott, but as I alluded to earlier, certainly a feather in his cap that he's one of only 2 horses to finish ahead of Tiz the Law.
Yeah, you mentioned that right before, and it's in the Kentucky Jockey Club back last year in their 2-year-old campaign. Both of those actually coming out 2 back for Finnick the Fierce out of that high-level optional claiming race where our collector took them gate to wire very easily. But, yeah, you mentioned 2 outsiders are going to need to work out a trip if they want to hit the board at all.
And Necker Island up the rail on Finnick the Fierce, and they do-si-doed a little bit, and Finnick the Fierce now doing a little bit more. What were we seeing there, Brandon?
Yeah, just having fun out there. I mean, they're not really trying to get into a match race or anything. And you saw Hillary Hartman kind of do the same thing when she was on the rail a little bit closer. Just kind of take a look back, make sure maybe a horse like Enforceable that's kind of feeling good, a little bit headstrong out here, wasn't trying to come up on the inside.
Based on what we've seen over the last few days, any clue of maybe a surprise horse that typically might be a little further back? And we've talked a lot, Brandon, about Max Player, Enforceable, Major Fed, etc., wanting that long closing trip. Do you see any of the closers maybe a little closer based on what you've seen in training?
I really haven't. I think at this point in their careers, the connections probably know what they are, and I think they're they're comfortable with it and just trying to bring them into the best way. I will say, if I had to pick one, Major Fed did work pretty swiftly and showed a nice kick down the lane, but he did show some tactical speed. We'll just see what their plan is as far as are we going to take back or maybe just try to get position. I thought it was interesting to hear Steve talk earlier, the fact that they wanted to maybe stay on the outside and try to get this horse more into the race early on.
And that's as we look at Enforceable here, but back to Honor AP, Scott, that's one of the things that concerns me with him is, in the 5-horse shared belief, didn't really need to go too wide, and he made a bold move in the Santa Anita Derby, but there's a big difference between a wide move in a 6-horse race and an 18-horse race.
Totally fair concern. If he gets caught wide, like we've seen with several horses that maybe you could argue ran best, Game Winner comes to mind last year, was way out of it early, was forced extremely wide, ran one of the best races, if not the best, but was nowhere to be found when you looked at the tote board at the end of the race.
That's right. And from Derby contender Enforceable to Oaks contender, She Dares the Devil. Brad Cox had some options, elected just to enter this filly in there. I thought she looked awesome in the Indiana Oaks, and obviously the top few have the look of potential superstars, but she's no slouch.
No, I think she's coming into this race well and looking for a career best effort. The fantasy, you can toss that, looks like was well beaten by Swiss Skydiver and Venetian Harbor. Not saying she would have been competitive with them to the wire, but had a brutal trip that day, so the 13-length loss, not a concern for me.
A lot of talk of the local trainers looking for their first Derby win. Tommy Drury, Greg Foley, Mark Cassey, but Brad Cox, a local as well. But he already has the Oaks in his cap, and Monomoy Girl's going to run this weekend. And speaking of Oaks, though, this is a filly, whether you're for or against her, you can't help but want to see her on the track. A superstar in the making, if not already. Devastating winner of her last 2 Grade 1 races. That was at one turn. The big question, Brandon, mile and an eighth for the morning line favorite in the Oaks. Can she get the distance?
You know, we're going to find out. That calf Wayne on the bottom side would mostly sprint, but into mischief as well. And so it's a little bit iffy, to be honest, but does make a nice appearance out here. And same thing with everything we've talked about with these quote-unquote new shooters. We're just trying to get to know the horse a little bit. They're not going to do a whole lot. You wouldn't think Authentic came out here and just jogged around once and went home. Probably going to be the same thing here. Makes a very nice appearance, just kind of keeping an eye on the ears, keeping an eye on her composure, and you can see the rider there just trying to keep the hands low, not wanting her to do too much. They've got the bell boots on that we've talked about before up front, just to make sure there's no grabbing of the front heel or any pulling any shoes off. So just a nice, easy little trot out here.
Scott, to me, this is what horse racing, especially this week with the classics, is all about. Awesome at a mile, 7 furlongs. She crushed the test. But now Bob's taking a big challenge, 9 furlongs in the Oaks.
Yeah, you got to take the challenge if you're Bob Baffert. $1.8 million purchase from Michael Lund Peterson, and she's done absolutely nothing wrong, crossing the wire first in all 4 tries. You go back to that second career race, the only try at 2 turns where she almost got beat by Speech. But what I liked that day about Gamine is she did dig in and re-engage when it looked like Speech was going to go by her.
And have a look here at Storm the Court. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champion 2-year-old. And Scott, after the fact, it looked like that juvenile came back fast. It came back like a race that some of these horses could go on with it, and none of them have. Really disappointing, to be honest. But they're here with the 2-year-old champ, and they have Julian Leparoux, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, when we talk about key races as a handicapper, these are races where a lot of the horses have come back and run well out of the race. Well, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile has been the negative key race. No one has really come out of it and run well. Storm the Court is not won as a 3-year-old in 5 career starts. Has hit the board 3 times, though, and I know you're higher on this horse than a lot of us.
I'm a little higher, obviously. I do like Julian Leparoux, but has an action this day feel to me. He was an upset winner, his Breeders' Cup for Richard Mandela, and came to the Derby and finished 5th, so, not good enough to cash a ticket if you were a believer, but ran on well, and here we see him on the track. Brandon, any physical clues that this horse could run back to that Breeders' Cup here?
Like I mentioned earlier, not the biggest individual in the world. You can also see did get a little worked up. Now, let's not read too much into that today. It was very humid this morning, almost like a rainforest type feel up here, misty and very humid. So we'll just keep an eye on that the next several days, and could be just him gets a little worked up first day on the track, not unusual. But I do have some distance questions, not only with the form on the paper, but also with the individual that came out in front of me today.
And here we have Gamine on the track, Kentucky Oaks morning line favorite. Certainly going to be the favorite at post time, I have to think. You think she goes as low as odds on, Scott?
I think she's probably going to be 4 to 5 given the 9-horse field. Maybe you can get even money. It's just going to be interesting to see how the race dynamics shape out, Ed. I think you would assume if Gamine comes out of there clean, she'll be on the lead. Swiss Skydiver, who's danced a lot of dances, was likely to sit second right off her flank. I think it could go 2 ways. Gamine, if she's not ready to run that 1 1/8 distance, could tire. Maybe both of them could stop and we could have a big upset. Or I think Gamine puts away Swiss Skydiver and potentially a big stretch run between her and She Dares the Devil or your top pick Speech.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think if Gamine puts away a horse, it's hard to see another making a challenge based on how she ran in the Acorn and Test. But if a duel takes too much out of her, maybe that's when in the final 8th of the 1 1/8 Oaks she gets tired. But it seems like if she gets daylight on whoever challenges her first, she'll be tough to catch.
Yeah, this is not a horse I'm super excited to take on. I do like the way Speech is trained, and I do think She Dares the Devil presents some real solid value, if anywhere near the 20 to 1 morning line. But I think it's Gamine, and those two, I think I'm a little bit against Swiss Skydiver at this point.
Brandon, we still have 2 days to go through. As I said, it's list season, but have you made an Oaks pick yet?
I'm usually one of those people that likes to wait till the very end, and just because I do like to soak up as much information as possible, and sorting through the workouts, sorting through the different ways to handicap. I will say that Speech has been very good out here. I do have distance concerns about Gamine. Swiss Skydiver, I'm a little concerned about how much she's done. That last race, I know she was geared down late, but it was a very big race, and so you're asking her to do a lot and come back and run here. She Dares the Devil has been very impressive, and I was going to maybe save this for my last thoughts, but I'll go ahead and just bring it up now. She's been galloping great. She had a great work 2 works back. Brad Cox obviously has brought her up and built her confidence up, winning by 5 and 6 lengths in the last couple starts. Loved what I saw here this morning. She's becoming more and more attractive to me.
Yeah, and Monomoy girl certainly a superior filly now mare. Looking forward to seeing her Friday. But I thought what Brad Cox did that year to bring her to the Oaks and then win from the outside post clearly shows he knows how to target this race. And from what Brandon said, Scott, sounds like She Dares the Devil coming in as well as you'd want.
Yeah, and she showed an affinity for the racetrack, winning 2 straight. The race 2 back on the only 2 starts, I should say. The June 5th race, she did go to the front in that race. That would be different tactics in this one. But I think Florent Giroux should be able to work out a beautiful mid-pack trip. And if they go at it early, she might have a shot to spring the big upset.
One of the popular topics around Derby time is certain rules. I fell for the Apollo curse in a bad way in 2018. Justify eradicated that. Another one would be layoffs, as well as how soundly you were beaten if you lost your previous race. So Volante would check both those boxes, but it's a totally different Derby. How are you calibrating the so-called rules with the backed up date?
Yeah, I'm a big history guy. That's what I got my major in, but I don't look to the rules quite as much as you do. And I think you hit the head on the head. You hit it on the head by saying that this is a different year. These are more mature 3-year-olds. The prep season was different. A lot of them had time off during the pandemic when there was only racing in a couple jurisdictions, and a lot of audibles were called. So I wouldn't take those as seriously this year, although you do want to be coming into the race well.
Brandon, another look at Sol Volante here, and I typically leave the visual impressions to you. That's your gig, but Impossible to Deny doesn't look great.
Yeah, no, the physicality and just the way he's built overall looks good. I will say they've done the same thing the last 2 days, and I would expect them to maybe do something different tomorrow. If not, start to kind of wonder a little bit why we're not at least getting some gallops in. So that'd be something to keep in mind for tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Brandon. And that wasn't we saw a lot of horses, Scott, there at the 7:30 hour, but plenty of action earlier today, including 1,000 Words, Bob sending Gamine, and Authentic for the 7:30 works portion, but 1,000 Words was on the track earlier.
Yeah, and this is a horse that, began to intrigue me when I thought maybe he could be sent to the lead in this spot, but reading kind of the tea leaves and what the ownership group was saying, they're going to probably plan to take him off the pace. Maybe Authentic, the other Baffert, will be on the lead. I'd like to see Florent Giroux send. I think it would give 1,000 Words his best chance.
I would think with naming Florent Giroux, that's the plan. I know some of the projections had him maybe a little further back, but I would think, especially if Bob really likes Authentic, that 1,000 Words being on the front end is really both the best chances. And Brandon, we saw all 3 Bafferts at various points today. None of them did too much, but that seems pretty typical of him when he arrives.
Yeah, just kind of get a little bit of a jog over the surface. You kind of mentioned maybe who's going to be up front in there. I like to use the Brisnet pace figures, and they're both somewhat very similar, but I think Authentic maybe just holds a slight edge, and the way he's been training and the way he's so comfortable on the front end, I would think maybe that they'll go ahead and let Authentic go out and then maybe just try to keep 1,000 Words maybe in that second flight right behind the pace.
All right, and Authentic was fresh off the plane along with 1,000 Words, who he beat in the Santa Anita Honor AP beat Authentic in the Santa Anita Derby, and then 1,000 Words came back to beat Honor AP, but he's looking to avenge that loss here. And Scott, I know you're high on him, and why not? I mean, that Santa Anita Derby, a run back to that makes him super competitive.
Yeah, he ran a 108 Brisnet speed rating that day, a much the career best effort for trainer John Sheriffs, who knows how to win the Kentucky Derby. This horse will be a lot shorter than his winner that he had back in the day with Giacomo, but Mike Smith will be aboard, a horse that I think will relish the 1.25 miles. Will have to avoid traffic trouble and a wide voyage.
Brandon, we heard Steve talk about wanting an outside post for Max Player, and I would have to think similar for a lot of horses. And even though I wouldn't love to see Honor AP super wide if I were a backer, it seems like being caught down inside in a bigger field isn't his bag either.
No, and I think this horse has enough tactical speed that really they can kind of go wherever they want. And one thing about what I saw this morning, I think if I had to kind of pick a star of the show, I mean, I know they're just out here galloping, and Honor AP was the star. When he came down in front of me, he's just a beautiful individual and carrying a lot of flesh, but he's somewhat light on his feet too, and you can probably see that in that tactical speed that he has. I was very, very impressed with what I saw from Honor AP today.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of him as the days go on to Derby Day. And we saw Authentic as well on the track, part of the Baffert condition, who arrived with other California horses. And Bob said his plan with Authentic, I talked to him yesterday, Scott, the Santa Anita Derby was sort of the Honor AP version of the Shared Belief. Bob didn't think he was fully cranked. He knew he had some time to work with him. And then the Haskell, we saw him dig in for the win. But nevertheless, I am a little concerned that he did get beat by Honor AP on the square.
Yeah, he got beat by Honored AP on the square, and then he came back and almost got beat by New York Traffic in a startling Haskell where he looked like he was home free. You know, Bob Baffert seems confident. Seems like he has this horse at the top of his game, which always worries you if you're fading one of his horses. But I do have those distant concerns, although I agree with Brandon. He does seem to look athletic. He has maybe one of the more talented horses in the field. If they're running this race at 1 mile and not a mile and a quarter, though, I'd like him a lot better.
Brandon, Authentic got a little late in the Haskell. New York Traffic came back on him, but Authentic did hold on. One of the reasons I love Art Collector and Tiz the Law is they do not seem to get lazy late. And Bob even admitted that Mike was chirping at him and really had to encourage him to finish the job in the Haskell. And it seems that that's a negative when it comes to the Derby because there's no gimmies at a mile and a quarter.
No, you're exactly right, and I think Bob understands that. Obviously, he's won the race before. We all know it. Look, it's Bob Baffert. It's a Kentucky Derby, and look at the way he's trained this horse. 6 furlongs coming back, 6 furlongs coming back. Then he puts a mile work into this horse. And just remember, you're seeing just the 6 furlong and the 1 mile work on the page, but they're also galloping out usually an extra quarter mile. So he's putting a lot of miles into this horse since the last race, trying to make sure that he doesn't get tired, and that's not an excuse, guys.
Tiz the Law is on his way here. Thank you to the New York Thoroughbred Breeders for posting video of his departure along with New York Traffic from Saratoga. And it's going to be all Tiz the Law the time tomorrow, I think, Scott, when you join Joe Christofek. So getting through some of these other contenders, and we saw Finnick the Fierce today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Tiz the Law tomorrow, but there's Finnick the Fierce, a horse that'll be a much, much, much bigger price come Saturday at 7:01 p.m. approximately. But look, we're seeing him gallop here. This is a horse that I think is completely up against it based on his recent form, but good story, and best of luck to trainer Ray Hernandez and the connections.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. He did beat, or at least finished ahead of Tiz the Law at a big price back in the Kentucky Jockey Club and started taking a little bit of money off of that for various reasons, but now we're back to him being a big long shot. And if you'd like to bet him or any number of horses, Twin Spires is the place to do it, the official wagering app of the Kentucky Derby, and they have a great sign-up bonus for Derby week. It's $200. Tell us more about it, Scott.
Yeah, $200 new player bonus. So you can get started today. You don't have to wait to the Kentucky Derby. Get that bonus, those bonus funds working. Just use the code WORKS200, Ed. That's WORKS 200.
All right, you're going to be on Churchill Downs today with some picks throughout the card. I have the expert picks in the app, so plenty of opportunity to bet that 200.
Yeah, fire week. I mean, 5 days of racing. The Kentucky Derby's on Saturday. That's the big one, but amazing cards leading up to it. Was diving through that Friday card last night. That Kentucky Oaks card is a doozy.
All right, that was drawn yesterday, and drawn today will be the 14-race Kentucky Derby presented by Woodford Reserve card. That means the post-position draw presented by Ford is today, 10:45. And wherever you're watching us now, post-position draw is going to be there, and everyone's very curious to see who gets the Uno.
Yeah, I know the Uno, not where you want to be, a little bit different this year with the new gate. Won't be as disadvantageous, but it's going to be important. The draw for the Kentucky Oaks was debatably not that important yesterday, but a bigger field, a lot of horses that have similar tactics. It will have a lot to do with how the race plays out.
All right, Brandon, up on the fourth floor, you saw a lot of new faces today. Any thoughts on who impressed you and what you're expecting at the draw?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I thought Honor AP was just a grand-looking individual out here. You know, he's a big purchase price at the sale as a yearling, but just the way he moves, so light on his feet. He's got tactical speed. Love the way he's been brought up to this. He caught the eye, I would say, the most this morning. For the Kentucky Oaks, She Dares the Devil, galloping very strong out here. Looks like she's coming up to a big race as well. And then as far as the draw goes, just hoping that it plays out and does maybe what we think it's going to be, maybe some speed horses drawn to the inside, and maybe some of the closers get good posts on the outside, and it's just a fair run for everybody. I just hate to see maybe somebody's hand have to be forced that normally isn't.
Thank you, Brandon. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts at the draw. Joe Christofek hosting that, and I'll be conducting the interviews. That, again, is at 10:45, presented by Ford on these Kentucky Derby channels, wherever you're watching us now. You can watch it then. And, Scott, great morning to see these horses out. I'm a little disappointed I won't see Tiz the Law tomorrow, though.
Yeah, looking forward to that, of course, seeing the Derby favorite. But really enjoyed seeing Honor AP, a horse that I'm very high on. Second choice for me right as of now. And Gamine being out on the track. I'm really excited excited to see her dazzle. We'll see if she gets the mile in an eighth, but she's got a lot of speed.
That's what horse racing's all about, answering those questions and getting paid if you answer them correctly as a bettor. Again, Twin Spires, the app for that. Well, I guess that's going to do it for us, Scott. Thanks for getting me through the hosting duties. Joe, I kept the seat warm for you. Scott and Joe back tomorrow. I'll see you Thursday with my picks. It's been the Kentucky Derby Work Show presented by TwinSpires.com. Thanks for joining us.